Micah Parsons is one of the best players in the entire NFL, and as a GM, it's important to pay your best players, unless you're Jerry Jones, of course. The Cowboys have struggled to pay their best players for decades now, but this Micah Parsons situation is a little bit different.
We wanted to send the details to the agent. The agent told us to stick it up our ass.
Now, there are two sides to every story, so let's let Jerry Jones continue to make his point on why he and Micah Parsons haven't come to an agreement yet.
Mike and I talked, and then we were going to send it over to the agent. And we had our agreements on term, amount, guarantees, everything. We were going to send it over to the agent, and the agent said, don't bother because we've got all that to negotiate. Well, I'd already negotiated. I'd already moved off my mark in several areas. And so the issue, very frankly, is we've had the negotiation in my mind, and the agent's trying to get his nose in it. Well, we've got this thing resolved in my mind for the Dallas Cowboys, and we've got it done. And if the agent wants to finish up the details, which is good, and do all the paperwork, and he can do that, and we're ready to go. But as far as the amount of money, the years, the guarantees, all of that, we negotiate that.
Well, what did Micah Parsons have to say about this situation? Well, he tweeted out, "Yes, I wanted to be here. I did everything I could to show that I wanted to be a Cowboy and wear the star on my helmet. I wanted to play in front of the best fans in sports and make this America's team once again. The team my pops and I grew up cheering for way up in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Unfortunately, I no longer want to be here. I no longer want to be held to closed-door negotiations without my agent present. I no longer want shots taken at me for getting injured while laying it on the line for the organization, our fans, and my teammates. I no longer want narratives created and spread to the media about me. I had purposely stayed quiet in hopes of getting something done. But since there's confusion out there, let me clear something up. I had my agent reach out to the Cowboys last offseason after my third year in hopes of getting a deal done early. Unfortunately, the team did not want to start any negotiations at that point. I was okay with that, didn't complain, and focused on 2024 season. After the season, I told my agent once again to let the team know we were open to negotiate when they met at the combine. My agent informed me I should wait for other deals to get done because the price would only go up, but I didn't care and I wanted to secure myself as a Cowboy long term. This was before any of the other pass rushers deals got done this offseason. I knew I'd be leaving money on the table, but again, I was okay with that. Again, radio silence as far as my extension. In March, I met with Mr. Jones to talk about leadership. Somehow the conversation turned into him talking contract with me. Yes, I engaged in a back and forth in regards to what I wanted for my contract, but at no point did I believe this was supposed to be a formal negotiation. And I informed Mr. Jones my agent would reach out, thinking this would get things done. But when my agent reached out and spoke to Adam, he was told the deal was pretty much done already. My agent of course told him that this wasn't the case and also reached out to Stephen Jones. Again, the team decided to go silent. At that point, we decided we would allow the team to reach out to us whenever they decided they wanted to talk. Yet, still not a call, email, or text to my agent about starting a negotiation. Up to today, the team has not had a single conversation with my agent about a contract. Not one demand has been made by my agent about money, years, or anything else. Still, I stayed quiet, but again, after repeated shots at myself and all the narratives, I've made a tough decision. I no longer want to play for the Dallas Cowboys. My trade request has been submitted to Stephen Jones personally. And this was actually before that Jerry Jones clip. Instead, he said it immediately following this clip of Jerry Jones.
Just because we signed him doesn't mean we're going to have him. He was hurt 6 games last year. Seriously. We've signed, I remember signing a player for the highest paid at the position in the league, and he got knocked out 2/3 of the year, Dak Prescott. So there's a lot of things you can think about, just as the player does when you're thinking about committing and guaranteeing money.
And you know what the worst part about this is? Micah didn't miss 6 games. He only missed 4 games. And the worst thing you can do as an owner is scrutinize your players for getting injured while laying it all on the line for you and your organization. I mean, Micah's trying to win a Super Bowl for you, something that hasn't happened in a very long time because you continue to make decisions like this. But besides that point, who is Micah's agent? Well, it's David Mulugheta, the agent who has been deemed as the most powerful agent in football, especially considering he was the first agent to negotiate $1 billion in contracts in 1 year. But this isn't Mulugheta's first time being under scrutiny. In fact, just last season he was under scrutiny because he was T. Higgins' agent who ended up getting fired because T couldn't get a deal done. But this wasn't necessarily because there was a problem with David. Instead, it was because T. Higgins was seeking a team-friendly deal and David was trying to get him the most money possible. As you saw earlier in his conversation with Micah, sometimes David is focused on getting his players the most amount of money possible rather than trying to appease a team. This was also apparent in his conversation with Micah, as Micah even noted that when he wanted to get a deal done, his agent informed him he should wait. Here's what he had to say following T. Higgins' extension after getting fired. It said, "I'll take all the sticks and stones because at the end of the day, my guys won't be taking any L's. Today has shown teams will do what's best for them at all times. My guys understand that and move with that same energy. So, if Mulugheta is in the business of getting his players the most money possible, and Jerry is clearly hard to work with on long-term deals, who's at fault?" Well, although I think it's on both of them to some extent, I do believe that Jerry Jones is clearly the one at fault in this situation. Jones continues to not pay his players early, causing them to sign deals after the market has been reset multiple times. In fact, on just Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and if Micah Parsons gets a deal done, he would have wasted $100 million against the salary cap and out of his own pockets over the next 5 seasons because instead of paying players early, he drags out their negotiations until the market continually gets reset, costing him millions of dollars on each contract. If Jerry Jones would quit trying to make handshake deals behind the scenes with his players and instead deal with players' agents like every other GM and owner in the NFL, he wouldn't be in this predicament. Now, I will admit, I do find it hard to believe that Micah didn't realize at all that they were negotiating that entire time. But Micah's right. You pay your agent to negotiate your contract and sign any contracts. You don't do that yourself. The only problem with that, Jerry doesn't want an agent involved at all, because he wants to get players to take a bargain because they're having a man-to-man conversation. But I think the biggest issue in this situation isn't necessarily the contract, it's the fact that Jerry Jones likes the drama. Jerry Jones sees it as a marketing opportunity to get more eyes on the Cowboys, but drama causes teams to lose games. Although it makes more money, it shows that Jerry Jones isn't focused on having a winning franchise, but instead a franchise that lines his pockets as much as possible. I mean, what other owners do you see having weekly interviews, giving stadium tours, and doing all of these things that are obviously a distraction to the team and organization as a whole? And what other owner do you have publicly lying on a podcast about what an agent said to him? Yeah, that's right. Mulugheta had a conversation with Ryan Clark, and he stated in this conversation, "I've never used that phrase in my life." Now, did Mulugheta probably say something to Jerry Jones that had that same implication? Yes, but as an owner, you cannot publicly say that somebody said something if they didn't say that, because that can ruin their reputation and even be defamation to some extent. And to make all this worse, even if the Cowboys somehow get this deal done with Micah Parsons, you just traded a 3rd and a 5th round pick for George Pickens. What many Cowboys fans might not know is that George Pickens' contract runs out at the end of this season, and George Pickens is talented enough that he's going to desire $30 million a year. And the problem with that? Well, you're already paying Dak Prescott $60 million, CeeDee Lamb $30+ million, and you're ultimately going to have to pay Micah Parsons $40+ million if you keep him as well. You only have so much money in a salary cap, so I don't think you're going to be able to afford George Pickens' contract and still be a competitive football team. So pretty much what I'm saying is that the Cowboys wasted a 3rd and 5th round pick on a 1-year rental who's going to help you have probably the best offense in the NFL, but your defense is going to be so bad that you're probably going to come last in your own division. Thanks for watching, and remember to like this video, share it with a friend, and subscribe. I'm on a journey to 10K right now. Help me get there, and see you.